It's time for another episode of The Oil Stream with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola, presented by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of The Oil Stream. Dusty and Tommy back with you once again. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. You can find us right here on Edmonton Sports Talk at noon. If you have any questions, if you were listening on, sorry, Tommy, taking all my waters off here. How's a guy supposed to stay hydrated, Tommy Gazzola? Oh, that's fine. Thanks, buddy.
I'll put it close.
Yeah.
I'll put it close.
The Oil Stream is brought to you by Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen, Boston Pizza, and Cool Bet Canada. Stay cool, bet responsibly with Cool Bets. Tommy, what's up, buddy? What's up? Hangout was good today.
That was fun. We started with Paul Bissonnette, Mike Babcock, back and forth, and then it turned into a great chat about college sports, University of Alberta Golden Bears.
I was listening to
Pandas.
that. I was out for a bit. Yeah.
Jay Milne was great. Will Fraser was excellent as always, and I think that's people are starting to grasp the essence of the Hangout, because there's been a few shows where I'm like, man, we didn't really talk about sports, but we did in a roundabout way. So there's no real topic that we can't get into and jump all over. And then we got a lot of texts too that came in regard to like pump up songs again. And
yeah, that looked good. That could be a good draft
to go to. And the draft came up, and we rekindled memories of that. So a lot of fun. The Hangout is becoming its own beast in a good way, I feel like. And I think, too, I think you guys put it out there, via the text line, 780-218-9999. We take input, and we try to mold the show as it goes along. But it's been a revelation, sort of. And the amount of people that are like, hey, that's actually a neat, different type of show to listen to.
Cool. Yeah. No, it's going really well. And, I think we're going to uncover some really good broadcasters in there. Like I've known Milne for a long time, and I've worked with him on games.
Funny.
And I was just like, oh, Milne's going to be perfect on Hangout. I thought he delivered today.
Great,
that's like a rookie coming out with 3 picks. Right?
In one game.
Whitehead the other day in that Monday nighter. That's what Milne did today.
We just don't have $250,000 to give Jay as a bonus for a great show.
Or do we?
We
don't.
We do not.
We don't. But
we'll
that's
gladly take
okay.
$250,000 though.
If you are listening at EdmontonSportsTalk.com, 780-218-9999. Oh my God, we've got royalty in the YouTube chat right now. The good afternoon from Gwyn Mack.
Oh,
Gwyn is the creator of Renee.
No,
that's where Renee comes from the mind of Gwyn Mack, who's on the YouTube chat right now. That's amazing.
Do we wave to Gwyn like this?
If you know the Nielsen show and Renee, that's Gwyn Mack right there. That's Renee royalty. That's Renee royalty right there.
Yeah, and I love how Century Casino's new sports lounge, the manager's
manager's name is Renee too. Yeah, that's great.
Am I doing it right?
Good. Renee. Actually, not bad, not great, but it's.
I appreciate the honest.
I'm Renee.
Hi. Renee here.
Do Renee? No, you just sound like a man. You just sound like you're doing your own deep voice. That's what that sounds like. Do you doing Renee, but as your mom?
Hi, I'm Renee. I smoke cigarettes and do bad things.
I don't know. That's a tough one on the spot.
All right.
Oh, I'm sorry, Gwyn. I've just butchered Renee there. I do apologize.
That's good. I like VR Montegra's in the YouTube chat going, thanks, Gwyn. Thanks. That's good. All right, the Oil Stream, like we said, we've got lots to get to today. If you have any questions and you're listening right now, we're going to get to the rest of Tom. Well, not the rest. The next 5 on the rankings of importance, which will be, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11.
Correct.
That's where we're going to go today as well.
That is correct.
Yeah, looking forward to that. We'll dive into this rookie camp roster a little bit as well. That's underway today, right?
Medicals and physicals, which is a hurry up and wait type of day media-wise.
Yeah.
And
I think I went to that twice. And then I was like, what am I rushing down here for after the morning show to just literally sit around and wait? Now, it's great to catch up with everybody and basically just BS with you guys. But
that's true. But you get to do it again a week later when medicals and fitness testing happen for the main group, which a bunch of the rookies are a part of. But there was a time, a decade ago or so, where actually rookie camp was probably the most exciting element of training camp before you got to the preseason games, just considering what type of rookies were coming in and the guys that they had drafted. And, it's a far cry. You guys were talking about it on the Nielsen show this morning.
This is the price you pay, right?
Mm-hmm. There's 97% chance of the Oilers trading the first round pick is interesting.
Yeah.
And they're going to have to restock the shelves at some point too. So it's a balancing act, but yeah, I could see it being.
I just feel like the restocking of the shelves begins in 3 or 4 years. Like,
I'd like to see it
get
now.
McDavid and but
good drafting, good scouting does that.
Okay, sure. Yeah, that would do it. But like, would you not, like, you're going to be trading, like, I'm not sitting here if I'm Ken Holland or Jackson or Coffey or whoever is going to be making these decisions. I don't think you can sit here and go, yeah, you know what? Prospect pool's a little thin.
It is.
I guess, and it is. Yeah. It's very thin. Yeah. But I don't think you sit there and go, well, we can't move our third rounder this year in efforts to try to win a Stanley Cup because you want to take a 8% shot on some guy in the draft. Like, to me, they're at a point now where, you know, like the conversation that we had for years when we were on 1260, basically since like maybe 2017 when McDavid got him in, you're like, holy smokes, like this could possibly work. The conversation for the longest time was, oh, well, is this an all-in year? Is this an all-in year? There is no more question about that.
Yeah, that's true.
It is always all in now moving forward for the Edmonton Oilers. So if that means that the prospect pool is going to be thin because A, you've traded guys you've drafted with some of your early picks, B, you've traded picks and haven't drafted anybody at all, and then C, the one thing that you should be able to control a bit is actually finding some guys with the picks that you do have. This is kind of the sacrifice you have to make to be a legitimate contender. Like if you go look at Colorado and Tampa. And I haven't looked. So I'm just kind of picking this out. Maybe they've done a brilliant job and have very deep prospect pools, but part of me is thinking they don't really have a huge pipeline of talent coming either.
Yeah, and that's totally fair. And it's the ebbs and the flows of building something successful. And when you have a talent like McDavid, then you definitely need to be going all in, especially entering his prime right now. But yeah, I guess, when I bring up, hey, I'd like to see them restock the shelves now. I think in a perfect world, they do that and they're diligent and, they're really not second guessing, but, if they're going to move on from their first rounder to take a real crack and swing at the Stanley Cup this year, they're doing it in a smart way. But then I guess the focus goes and shifts to the scouting staff and making sure they're identifying guys that, in a few years could eventually slide in and might be sneaky good picks. And, you need good eyes in the stands every night. You need to be able to finally draft those guys when you have second and third round picks, because maybe you did trade away your first rounder to take a big run at the Stanley Cup. And there's a little bit of luck involved with that as well. And I guess I'm just trying to look at it from a perfect situation type of point of view. But yeah, you're right. No, I'm not saying don't go for it. You have to go for it.
A couple of comments in the YouTube chat. D says, I would be willing to trade my next born if that's what it takes to win the cup. It is cup or bust.
That's fair.
Yeah,
I get that.
I mean, let's be honest though. I mean, knowing who my kids are now, if somebody said, hey, you could have traded Marshall for a cup, I mean, I wouldn't have done it.
No,
it's just it's such an over exaggerated. Like for example, today, the god of hockey. So let's just say he's not the god of hockey, but let's just use for example. Gary Bettman comes bobbling heading in, and he goes to Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and he goes, oh, I see you've got a new child there. And Nugent goes, yes, I can.
Yes.
I have one. If Gary Bettman says, I'm going to take your child from you, but you're going to win a Stanley Cup, I'm sorry, Nuge ain't letting that slide.
No, you're not letting Precious Lennon go to Gary Bettman. And you kind of described the premise to Ghostbusters too, to a certain extent there, with Vigo the Carpathian in the painting. But you're right.
I never saw Ghostbusters 2.
Sneaky good.
Yeah?
As someone who's completely biased.
Is it actually sneaky good?
Not
or
as
do
bad
you
as
just
you
like
think.
it? There's difference.
Well, I'm a super Ghostbusters fan.
That's what I mean.
Let's begin with that, but it's not as bad as people made it out. How do you live up to the hype of the first one? Ghostbusters Afterlife, excellent. And then
I never saw that one either.
Ghostbusters Answer the Call, or whatever the heck they called the other one, not good. And it had great actors.
There's some hilarious women in that movie.
Melissa McCarthy, Kate McKinnon, absolutely fantastic. Kristen Wiig. Hemsworth was great in it, and then they had cameos from the original guys, and Annie Potts as well, who played Janine, but it was just a dud. I mean, the writing on it was terrible, and they didn't give those ladies great material to work with, unfortunately. So, aside from, comparing Gary Bettman to Vigo the Carpathian from Ghostbusters 2, yeah, you're not trading in.
No, you're not trading.
But I understand the sentiment.
Yeah.
That's the thirst.
That's how
that
bad
needs
you
to be
want
quenched
it.
for Stanley Cup.
You know what you should do? You should get together, like a man and a woman should just get together and have a child that they know they're not going to care about and trade that for the Stanley Cup.
That's a terrible idea. Don't do that.
I don't know.
Dustin.
I mean, I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Ad Astra is in and the YouTube chat and says, with only 3 years left of McDavid, for now, let's be honest, they just handed the organization to his agent. But with only 3 years left of McDavid, I'd go full scorched earth policy. Which is, I agree. Who cares if you have any picks in the next 3 years?
I understand that, but look at the New York Rangers right now. And they Chris Drury kind of tried to do that last year when everyone was in that arms race in the East, and it blew up in his face. And they still have a great, I think, a really solid team, but it didn't work. It didn't work. But I understand the sentiment. There is a madness element to it, but at the same time, even the Toronto Maple Leafs, how many players? I think they brought in 6 new guys at the deadline, so it's a third of the players you can ice, and it didn't work for them as well, although they got past the first round.
Gavin is wondering what's in the middle of the table. That's the Scalding Hot Takes mitt for Scalding Hot Takes. Scalding Hot Takes will return once we make sure we have everything sort of just flowing smoothly on a regular
people
basis.
With that thing.
I want this. Hey, get out of here, Tommy. Get out of here.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the Scalding Hot Takes, man. Yeah. Jenna on the YouTube chat says, I would trade Sam Gagner for Athanasiou again if it means the Oilers would win a cup. When we get closer to the season, we'll do what would you sacrifice for the Oilers to win the cup segment.
That's a great one.
Yeah,
and I think we get some phenomenal answers to that.
I think that's pretty
That's
good.
funny too.
780-218-9999 if you'd like to text us if you're listening to the live stream right now. 780-218-9999. Late PTO coming in here with Adam Ernie.
And I was like, I just said yesterday that didn't seem like there was anything coming. It was quiet. Adam Ernie, when I saw it announced, I looked at you and I'm like, what? And that's a name that popped up a while ago, and then it just kind of went away. And then yesterday they announced that they were bringing in Ernie, and, just kind of out of the blue, reemerge type of thing, if you want to know how that sort of came to be. And there's a connection to Detroit, obviously, as well. We'll see where this goes. He did play the majority of last year with the Red Wings, and I believe he spent some time with
he was in
Grand
the
Rapids
AHL for
Griffins
9 games last year, too.
Yeah, this is a bottom 6 guy, and they're going to give him a chance to compete, and, maybe Ken Holland giving a guy like that a favor and trying to keep his career going.
It's a PTO. I mean, if he's going to try to win a job here, first of all, there's really no jobs if they're going to run short roster anyway. But you kind of just put him in that Peterson Kajula. So I mean, basically, he's played almost 400 games.
I would put him above. Peterson. I know Original Puzar wanted to go and discuss the Kajula ranking of importance, and I don't want to say it was a throwaway, but I think Kajula factors in if they're in need of players at some point. And I would think that Ernie, if he performs decently enough, winds up in the AHL and is right there with Kajula. He's bigger than Kajula. He's played a lot more recently in the National Hockey League. He was a regular, so for the most part, the last couple of years.
Eden is in on the text line, 780-218-9999. Says, I would also be willing to trade D's first child to win a cup.
See, this is where it takes a life of its own in a funny way.
Yeah. Huffy the Clown on YouTube says, so you guys think that Adam can Ernie himself a contract?
Gene's not here, Matt, and maybe.
That's good.
Maybe.
I mean, that's a
yes.
good comment.
Yeah. Possibly, but I don't think you're going to see a lot of him in orange and blue. I don't think that's the plan.
You'll see a lot of him in preseason.
Sure.
There's no reason to really. You don't have to get McDavid and Draisaitl up to speed in preseason. What do you get? 2 games, 3 max.
Yeah, and they mostly play at home. They don't really
4.
travel. You don't have one of those showcase games. They're not playing in like Kent, Washington, or anything like that this year, right? I don't think so.
No.
You're not sending them to Winnipeg?
No. I don't
what
think so.
for?
Okay, just back to the rookie roster for a second.
Yeah.
Like nobody on that group's like making the team.
No.
I would be like, do you bring Borgo to main camp? And
of course.
Yeah, but like how many of those guys on that group do you actually think make? Because we've seen it with other teams when it's like, oh, okay, we'll bring in a few guys from main camp, get them out of here right away, and just get to the group. right? They're not fighting for jobs. There's no jobs to be won by any of these guys. So to me, if they're in for main camp, it's like, hey, here's a quick tease of what you could eventually get one day. Okay, now get the hell out of here. We got something to focus on. So
there might be a quick cut of a good chunk of players that need to get down to Bakersfield for Colin Chalk and Josh Green and the crew to get going and getting the Condors up and running. That might be the case. And then there's going to be some guys that I think in a couple of years' time, when you're trying to restock shelves and you want to start bringing in some young guys again, like a Borgo, and Petrov's another interesting one.
Yeah, Petrov's interesting.
But I think I look at it as the guys that they have high on their priority list as prospects, they probably want to test them. You know what I mean?
Couple preseason games. You keep a couple of guys that you think that have simmered enough over the last couple of years in the minors, and you put them into some late preseason games. Maybe, yeah, Tulio, yeah, perhaps. Like a couple of guys that have been around for 3 or 4 years. The guys on this list, how many guys on this list will get preseason games, do you think?
Borgo will. I think Jake Chason will. Is it Grube or Gruby?
I remember looking this up when they got him.
Petrov will. Savoy will. Tulio will.
So that's 5-6 forwards.
Aki probably will, right?
Yeah, recent pick.
Max Warner would probably get 1 or 2. And then these goalies, maybe 1 or 2.
Yeah, you probably give them. Yeah. I mean, you're not just going to run out
1 or 2. But then the other 3 guys, Pickard's your third guy.
He's going to play a bunch in the preseason, you would think.
Yeah, so it's a different preseason this year.
Why do you say that?
Just because you know what the team's going to be.
Well, that was kind of like my whole point of how many guys you're going to bring to camp.
Quote unquote boring camp unless guys start going down and knock on wood.
I remember 3 games into preseason last year over at the station. I was like, okay, enough. Yeah. Enough preseason. We know what this team is. There's literally, especially this year, there's really no battle that should legitimately intrigue us. We'll be intrigued because we're going to talk about it every single day. But let's be honest. I mean, a lot of that is us just creating content by trying to talk about something. We know what this roster is going to be like.
If you remember last year in training camp in the preseason, kind of the big story was it right to bring Jake Virtanen into camp? And then when he played like crap,
Dylan Holloway.
Why is he still here? Well, Holloway was a great story, absolutely, and that's a good point. But outside of that, you knew. And Holloway earned that spot on the team. He had a very good camp and, some tough moments early in his NHL career. But I suppose we'll be watching for his growth and that type of thing, which is natural. And then Lavoie will be another one. Where is he going to make a case for a spot? Can he take away a spot from a more veteran guy? Make it or break it. He'll be going deep into
I just don't know how he does.
He's going to have to shoot out the lights, but then we go, well, what do you make of the preseason?
But if he shoots out the lights, then you put him into this weird spot as a third or fourth liner where you're not really going to have much of an opportunity to shoot out the lights anyway.
But he's on their radar now, and they can go to him, if you will, rather than calling up a Caggiula or a Lane Peterson or maybe an Ernie. You know what I mean?
Rory on the YouTube chat says, would EST sacrifice the scalding hot takes mitt for an Oilers Cup?
I don't touch that thing. I don't know.
You have to earn it. I can't. I shouldn't even be touching it because it's not mine right now. Eric had it last time. I don't know. We did allow it to be taken to Hamilton after the nasty bash.
Right. Hernan wore it
Hernan had it at
Tim Hortons Field.
At Tim Hortons Field.
Yeah.
And it actually was there for their first win of the season. So maybe there is a good luck charm here.
Send it to Sasky.
I just, man, I don't know. Mark is in on the chat here today. Who is our number 1 defenseman this season? By our, of course, he would mean the Edmonton Oilers. The Oilers' number 1 defenseman this season.
That would be a little bit too revealing in the rankings of importance.
Save it. Yeah. No, save it. Because I don't want to spoil the rankings of importance, and we're not going to get to these people today.
I think
those.
Yeah, I'm not even going to give a hint because I want to wait till we get there. But
spoiler alert: it's not Kulak.
What? How did you know?
Actually, Kulak's still to come on this list, isn't he? Yes, he is. Mm-hmm. All right, so we will get to the rankings of importance on this list as well. So heard a little something interesting yesterday.
Lay it on me, brother.
Well, I was told that tomorrow Steve Staios will be announced as general manager of the Ottawa Senators. Oh. But I've only heard it from one place.
Yeah.
And I haven't really heard it anywhere else. But we've been talking a lot about like Steve Staios and what's going on with Steve Staios. It's been
He's
super
not
quiet
Oilers.
on the Steve Staios front.
We said it.
Yeah.
He's not with the team anymore.
Now I don't know if it happens tomorrow. I was told that you could possibly expect an announcement on this tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I mean, we thought it'd be trending that way for quite some time now, right? Like he's going to be involved there some way or the other. It was just something that came across my plate randomly yesterday because I don't really seek this stuff out. No. But yeah.
If you're new to the Oil Stream, when it was still just a podcast before we brought it into, a full part of the programming and turned it into a full show, we talked about Steve Staios being out with the Oilers. He's not on the website, and it was looking more and more like he was headed to the Ottawa Senators. And if that is true, that tidbit nugget that you did receive, it would make sense because it would coincide potentially with the official purchase of the Sens by the Andlauer Group.
Because is that tomorrow?
Bill Daly was talking that it was close to being done.
Okay.
Not imminent, maybe, or just it was just about there, like the official purchase of the Sens to the Andlauer Group. And there's a few different owners and like the Melnick's, Eugene Melnick's daughters and the family still owns 10%. So all of those lowercase J's and T's need to be dotted and crossed and I's, obviously. I just love that. It's a Wayne's World 2 reference. Yeah, and it sounded like it was getting close. So that could be Dusty, and if it does coincide with the official announcement that he did take over.
With that being said, this news does not really impact the Edmonton Oilers in any way, shape, or form. They've already kind of moved on, so it's not a big deal, and it's basically what everybody was expecting anyway from the Ottawa Senators and Steve Staios. So something to keep tabs on. As the season sort of cranks up a bit here. Kev is at 780-218-9999. Dusty and Gaz, I just want to say this entire new lineup, especially with the YouTube, is absolutely awesome. You've all done a fantastic job. That is all. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kev. Hello, nice to hear your voices again. Why do you think the Oilers are putting the rookie camp behind a paywall on Oilers Plus?
Well, John of St. Albert. Money.
I mean, mostly
they're trying
because
to spice up Oilers Plus, which was not particularly great in season 1.
Yeah, but like, and as somebody who's like, we're kind of launching season 1 of our thing. Yeah, there's going to be some hiccups along the way.
Yeah, and I don't want to besmirch because I work with a lot of those guys over there.
But they would have more resources than we have.
They would, and I love the premise. This is the way a lot of streaming services, sports teams are going. And they're just trying to be ahead of the game, and that's supposed to be good business. So good on them. But I think that's part of it too. So if you want to sink your teeth in, deep dive in the Oilers, and that is, the Young Stars tournament, then they put it behind the paywall of Oilers Plus to entice you to get that subscription. So that's why John of St. Albert.
D says, this is D who was willing to give away a child.
Keep that in mind.
So keep that in mind. Like when D talks about the value of Oilers Plus, we have to remember that D would be willing to give away the firstborn child for the cup.
Yeah.
So the rate of pay to be on Oilers Plus probably doesn't seem like a lot if you're willing to sacrifice a kid.
Yeah.
But D says Oilers Plus is free with the purchase of season tickets.
Yeah, as
so
it
kind of gives season ticket holders the access to it, and anybody else who wants to pay and kind of have the access to it as well. You used to do some of those broadcasts, didn't you?
I did.
They were an eye-opener. Like color with
yeah.
How did you like doing color?
I enjoyed color. I'm deathly afraid of play-by-play, and that's why I bow down to guys like yourself, Jack Michaels.
I hate color.
I like it because puck down in the lower left corner, up to the blue line. Like it doesn't come naturally to me, and I know it's something that you probably work on and get better and smoother at, and you get all those sayings that come to you. Like a scintillating save, puck skitters into the corner.
Sensational.
Things like that, you work on it and you hone your craft, you listen to others. But the analyst side of it was great. I actually did a game with Pat Steinberg, my last Young Stars Classic.
I think I remember. That was what... Did you ever do one with Gino, too?
I did like the rinkside reporting.
Okay.
And actually, my first week on the job there, I had to do rinkside. I had never done it before. I had never worked on television without a prompter or a script. And like we were stretching out segments and I was just dying. And I got absolutely murdered on, I think, HF boards at the time. That was the first and last time I ever went on HF boards.
Look how good you are now, buddy.
That's totally subjective. But it is neat. And then, you know, you get more reps in and you get used to it. I actually really enjoyed doing those broadcasts, but that was a lot of work in Penticton for the Young Stars Classic because it was on us, the Flames TV crew, and the Canucks TV crew.
Working it all
Jets
together,
TV,
merging together and stuff.
Yeah, I think they chipped in a bit too, but the demand from my boss was a great guy, Mark Ciampa, who's one of the VPs of the New Jersey Devils
he's
now.
The Devils, yeah.
He's climbing the ladder.
What a guy.
And I keep joking. I'm like, you need somebody on the Devils broadcast?
Not anymore,
Not
Tommy.
anymore. I bought a place here, and I'm still at Edmonton, as the T-shirt says, which is great because it's my home. But yeah, you get better at it. You enjoy it more. But those were long weeks doing the Young Stars Classic. That Oilers TV crew is gonna knock it out of the park. And you know, they need to make money too. It's a business, and that's a way to entice people in.
Any way you can get a few bucks out of something.
That's just
as
the way it is.
As a young business owner now,
Entrepreneur.
you have to find ways to make money. I mean, that being said, the Oilers already make quite a bit of money, but anything helps.
Yes.
Anything helps, even the subscriptions at Oilers Plus. All right, Tommy, rankings of importance when we return. This is, you know what's nice about this?
Tell me.
You know, if it's slow, we can mix in a couple of breaks.
Yes.
If we're just cruising along, like you guys did in the Hangout today.
Great
Hangout. The best thing about having all of our sponsors kind of infused into the show is that we don't have to worry about missing spots. So we just blew through a break 10 minutes ago.
Whoops.
We're going to hit one now. We're going to come back. We will get into Tommy's rankings of importance from Boston Pizza and Popeyes and our partners at CoolBet as well. Don't go anywhere. We will be back in 3 minutes.
Two guys and a goalie.
I think we're going to see some big things from Evander Kane.